Congratulations, you survived the night. You made fire. The predators are keeping their distance. Your hands are covered in dirt, your hair smells like smoke, and for the first time since arriving in the ancient world, you are feeling pretty confident. Then your body reminds you of a small problem. You are thirsty. Very thirsty. You can survive without inventing the wheel. You can survive without writing. You can even survive without explaining to everyone that you are technically from the future. But you cannot survive for long without water. So now you need to solve humanity's next great problem. Where do you find water? How do you carry it? And most importantly, how do you drink it without turning your stomach into a prehistoric disaster zone? Welcome back to Civilization from Scratch. You already have fire. Now let's use the methods available to ancient humans to find, clean, and store water. First, you need to find water. The good news is that water exists almost everywhere. The bad news is that it is often hiding, moving, buried underground, or filled with things that would very much like to live inside you. Your first choice is obvious: a river, a stream, a lake, or a natural spring. But you should not simply run toward the first shiny puddle and start drinking. That is not survival. That is gambling with your intestines. People in the ancient world learned to read the landscape. Water moves downhill, so valleys, ravines, and the bottom of slopes are better places to search than the top of a hill. Dense green plants in an otherwise dry area can indicate moisture in the soil. Birds, insects, and animal tracks may lead toward a water source, and running water can sometimes be heard before it can be seen. So you walk downhill, you follow the vegetation, you listen carefully, and eventually, you find a stream. Congratulations, you have located water. You have not yet located safe water. Those are two very different achievements. Choose the least terrible source. The stream looks clear. It is cold. It sparkles in the sunlight. A deer is drinking from it. Perfect, right? Not necessarily. The deer also eats leaves directly from the ground. It is not your medical advisor. Ancient people could not see bacteria, viruses, or parasites, but they could notice patterns. Some water smelled bad. Some water tasted strange. Some sources repeatedly made people sick, so they learned to prefer cool, moving water over warm, stagnant pools. They avoided water near dead animals. They collected upstream from camps, livestock, washing places, and waste. And springs were especially valuable because groundwater emerging from the earth was often clearer and cooler than water sitting on the surface. So before collecting anything, look around. Is there a dead animal nearby? Strange foam? An oily surface? A terrible smell? If the water smells like fuel, chemicals, or decay, walk away. Boiling can kill many living organisms. It cannot magically turn poison into a refreshing beverage. Method 1. Collect rainwater. Before we deal with the stream, look up. Rain is one of the simplest sources of water available in the ancient world. People could collect it in clay pots, wooden bowls, animal skins, hollowed logs, large leaves, or pits lined with waterproof material. The advantage is obvious. Rain has not yet flowed through mud, animal waste, or the mysterious activities of the village upstream. The disadvantage is also obvious. It has to rain. So if the sky is completely clear, standing outside with an empty bowl is less of a water system and more of a personal disagreement with the weather. Still, when rain arrives, collect it directly. Do not wait until it runs across the ground and picks up dirt, and cover the container afterward. Otherwise, your clean rainwater will quickly become a swimming pool for insects. Method 2. Let the mud settle. Back at the stream, the water is slightly cloudy. Before trying anything complicated, ancient humans used one of the simplest technologies ever invented: waiting. Fill a clay pot, wooden container, animal skin, or hollowed vessel with water. Then leave it alone. Heavy sand, soil, and other particles slowly sink to the bottom. The clearer water remains above. This process is called sedimentation, but in practical terms, it means waiting for the dirt to get tired. Once the mud is settled, carefully pour the clearer water into another container. Do it slowly. Do not shake the vessel. Do not stir the bottom. And do not suddenly sneeze directly into it. Otherwise, all your progress returns to mud. Sedimentation makes water clearer. It removes some visible material, but it does not remove everything, especially the invisible things. So you are not finished. You have simply made the next step easier. Method 3. Strain it through cloth or plant fibers. Now you need to remove larger debris. Ancient people used woven cloth, baskets, grass, moss, wool, plant fibers, and other porous materials to strain water. Place the material over a clean vessel. Then pour the water through it. Leaves remain behind. Insects remain behind. Large particles remain behind. And hopefully, anything with visible legs remains behind. The result looks much better. This is where you may feel tempted to drink it. Do not celebrate yet. A cloth can stop a beetle. It cannot reliably stop microscopic organisms. Clear water is not automatically safe water. It simply means the danger has become more professional and harder to see. Straining is useful, but it is preparation, not purification. Method 4. Build a natural filter. You already have cloth and plant fibers, but ancient people also learned to pass water through layers of natural material. You can build a simple filter inside a basket, hollowed container, clay vessel, or fabric pouch. At the top, place larger stones or gravel. Below that, smaller gravel. Then coarse sand. Then finer sand. Near the bottom, add clean cloth or tightly packed plant fibers. Charcoal from your fire can also be added as another layer. Pour the cloudy water through slowly. Large stones catch leaves and larger debris. Gravel catches smaller material. Sand traps finer suspended particles. Charcoal can reduce some unpleasant tastes and smells by attracting certain substances to its surface. The water that comes out may look dramatically cleaner. It may smell better. It may no longer resemble soup. This is excellent progress. It is still not a guarantee of safety. A homemade sand and charcoal filter is not a magical force field against every bacterium, virus, parasite, salt, or poison. It removes dirt. It improves the water. But after filtering, you still need heat. Fortunately, you already invented fire. Method 5. Boil the water in pottery. This is where your achievement from the previous episode becomes extremely useful. Once people developed containers that could hold water and survive heat, boiling became possible. A clay pot could be placed near the fire or suspended above it. The filtered water was poured inside, then heated until it boiled. Not until the water felt warm. Not until one suspicious bubble appeared at the bottom. Until the entire surface was actively moving and steam was rising. Heat kills disease-causing microorganisms. Ancient people did not know what bacteria were. They did not have microscopes, but they could observe the result. Water that had been heated was often safer than untreated water. This is how much of early technology developed. Nobody understood every scientific detail. Someone simply tried something, survived, and recommended it to everyone else. Once the water is boiled, remove it from the heat. Let it cool while covered. Do not pour it back into the dirty container. Do not dip muddy hands into it. And do not allow Bob from the neighboring cave to taste it using the spoon he found on the ground. You have cleaned the water. Now try not to contaminate it again. But what if you have no clay pot? There is one problem. Perhaps you arrived before pottery became common. You have fire, you have water, but your available cookware consists of wood, bark, animal skin, and optimism. You cannot place an animal skin container directly into a fire. That usually produces less water and more burning animal skin. So ancient people found another solution. They heated the water from the inside, using stones. Method 6. Stone boiling. First, make a container. It can be a hollowed wooden bowl, a tightly supported animal skin, a bark vessel, or even a pit in the ground lined with material that holds water. Fill it with filtered water. Then select dry, solid stones. Heat them in your fire. When they become hot, move them carefully using wooden tongs, forked branches, or other tools. Drop the heated stones into the water. The stones transfer their heat to the liquid. When they cool, remove them and add new hot stones. Repeat the process until the water boils. You have now boiled water, without placing the container over a flame. That is surprisingly clever for someone whose entire tool collection still fits beside one rock. But be careful when choosing stones. Some wet or porous rocks can contain trapped moisture. When heated, that moisture expands. The stone can crack or burst, which means your peaceful water treatment system can suddenly become prehistoric artillery. Use dry stones collected away from the water when possible, and do not lean your face directly over them. Your civilization needs you to keep your eyebrows. Method 7. Use the sun, but understand its limits. Ancient cultures also exposed water to sunlight. Strong sunlight and heat can reduce some microorganisms over time, especially when water is held in shallow, open containers. But this method is far less predictable than boiling. Clouds reduce the effect. Dirty water blocks light. The container may be contaminated, and without knowing the exact conditions, you cannot be sure the water is safe. So sunlight may help, but it is not your best option when fire and a suitable vessel are available. Think of the sun as an assistant, not the person in charge of the entire water department. What about solar distillation? You may remember a modern survival trick. Dig a hole, place a cup inside, cover the hole with clear plastic. Let sunlight evaporate moisture and collect the condensation. There is only one problem. You are in the ancient world. You do not have a sheet of transparent plastic, so the familiar modern solar still is not available. But the principle of distillation can still be understood. Water is heated, it becomes vapor. The vapor touches a cooler surface, it condenses, and the droplets are collected separately. Later societies developed vessels and equipment that used evaporation and condensation to separate liquids. But for your current Stone Age situation, building a distillation system is far more difficult than filtering and boiling water. So yes, it is scientifically possible. No, it is not your first project of the morning. You are thirsty now. Build the sand filter. Heat the stones. Do not begin constructing a prehistoric chemistry laboratory. Method 8. Digging for water. Suppose there is no visible stream, but the ground in a low area feels damp. Ancient people learned that water could sometimes be reached below the surface. They dug shallow holes near dry riverbeds, valleys, or areas with moisture-loving plants. Water slowly seeped into the hole through the soil. The first water might be muddy, so it was allowed to settle. Then it was collected, strained, and boiled. Eventually, humans improved this idea. Shallow holes became deeper wells. Wells allowed settlements to reach groundwater without depending entirely on rivers or seasonal pools. This was a major upgrade. Before wells, people moved toward water. After wells, people began bringing water to where they wanted to live. Civilization is basically a long history of humans refusing to walk farther than necessary. Collecting dew. In some environments, another small source was available in the early morning: dew. People could wipe moisture from grass, leaves, stones, or cloth and squeeze it into a container. Large leaves or absorbent materials could collect small droplets overnight. This will not provide a village with enough water. It may not even provide one person with very much. But when every drop matters, small sources become useful. The main problem is efficiency. Collecting dew requires time, a large area, and the patience to wipe hundreds of plants before breakfast. It is a backup method, not the ancient equivalent of turning on a tap. How do you store the clean water? Finding and cleaning water solves today's problem. Storing it solves tomorrow's. Ancient people used clay jars, hollowed wood, gourds, animal skins, stone vessels, and woven containers sealed with resin or pitch. Containers with narrow openings were especially useful. They reduced evaporation, kept out dirt, and made it more difficult for insects and animals to enter. Keep purified water covered, stored away from waste, animals, and dirty water. Use a clean tool to remove it instead of dipping hands directly into the vessel. And separate the container used for collecting dirty water from the one used for storing treated water. Otherwise, you filter it, you boil it, you cool it, and then you pour it back into the same filthy animal skin. Congratulations, you have invented a circle. The most common water mistakes. Mistake number 1, assuming clear water is safe. Some of the most dangerous things in water are invisible. Mistake number 2, filtering without boiling. A filter can remove mud and insects. It cannot reliably eliminate every disease-causing organism. Mistake number 3, boiling chemically contaminated water. Heat kills microorganisms. It does not remove every poison, salt, metal, or chemical. If the source smells unnatural, has an oily surface, or is near mining or industrial waste, find another source. Mistake number 4, using the same dirty container after purification. This turns clean water back into dirty water with impressive efficiency. Mistake number 5, waiting until you are severely dehydrated. Search for water while you still have strength. Build storage before the dry season. Collect rain before you desperately need it. Civilization begins when humans stop solving every problem 5 seconds before disaster. Mistake number 6. Drinking urine. No. Your body removed those salts and waste products for a reason. Drinking them again does not create more water. It gives your kidneys the same problem twice. You are not recycling. You are returning a package your organs already rejected. Look at you. Yesterday you were freezing in the dark. Then you created fire. Today, you found water. You let the mud settle, you strained it, filtered it through sand, gravel, and charcoal. Then you boiled it in a clay vessel, or with heated stones. You now possess 2 of the most important technologies in human history. Fire gives you heat. Clean water keeps you alive. Together, they allow you to cook, wash, prepare food, make drinks safer, and stay in one place for longer. But staying in one place creates another problem. The wind is rising. The sky is turning dark. And your current home is still just the ground next to a fire. So in the next episode, we build shelter. Not a random pile of branches, not a wet cave already occupied by something with teeth. A real structure. Something that protects you from rain, wind, and cold. And ideally, from Bob. Subscribe, because civilization currently consists of one tired time traveler, a campfire, and a bowl of boiled water. And honestly, there is still a lot to invent. Civilization from scratch.